Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Very glad to be here with you, bringing you a special episode. Glad that you're tuning in to hear it. My guest on this episode of Paradigms has been an inspiration to millions for many decades. As a singer and a songwriter, part of a very famous trio, as a person of conscience, always working for peace and healing. You're going to really love meeting him. In light of recent events and events over the last decades, with the increase in mass shootings in the United States, especially in children's schools, my guest on this episode has been working in response to that for quite some time and has recently reworked a very well-known folk song to address this issue. He's going to tell us all about that and much more. It was truly an honor to speak with this person. So let's meet him right now on this episode of Paradigms. Peter Yarrow, welcome to Paradigms.
It's not as good as Honolulu, but it's good. And I'm not talking about Hawaii. I'm talking about the beautiful place that is symbolic in many ways of the kind of feeling, compassion, and innocence of an era that is threatened in terms of the cultural shift that has taken place in our country. And that cultural shift is, to my mind, the most important danger that we have in terms of being able to right the boat, to extricate ourselves from the situation. Because we can pass all the laws and change all the processes, but if people inside themselves don't care about each other, this is not going to be a good outcome. Because the essence of the constructs of democracy, the constructs of the dream of a land of equity or a world of equity and fairness, comes from the evolution of human beings to an acceptance of the fact that we are, as they say in the trade, one. That we really are each other. We are embedded in each other, and the absence of our ability to focus on that and understand that as an imperative could be disastrous, which is why efforts like Operation Respect, which was a nonprofit educational initiative that I started 2 years ago. Used to say, we want kids to grow up to be compassionate, to be caring, to have a value system that honors the things that really reward us as we see it, meaning non-material things, the rewards of giving, of serving, of sharing. We want them to be kind. We want them, you can sum it up. We want them to grow up so that they are not part of this momentum that has engulfed us so sadly. With that, I'm going to do something very unusual that's very hard for me to do. So I first have to get my crystal out, touch it to my nose, and then stop talking.
Firstly, I just want to say it's an honor to speak with you. You have been part of my life, my whole life, even though you never knew me. And I have sung your songs and listened to your music and felt your message so many times in so many situations. And I know you know it, but I'm just going to say it again. You have touched millions of people's hearts.
I'm talking.
A person of conscience is a beautiful thing in this world, and you are one.
Well, I have my feet of clay. If you'd like me, I'll show you them on a screen.
Well, we all do, but
I do believe that there are aspects to my life that have allowed something to evolve within me that is part appreciation and gratitude, and part love, and part the literal sense of the fact that we are part of one another, which is, by the way, this that I'm wearing, and I'm showing this to you, but don't show it to anybody else, or
okay,
there will be terrible consequences. It was given to me by Carmen Moore. He had it made by a friend of his, an artist in Bali, because when I got very, very sick as a dog, on the street corner, hanging onto the parking meter, and then came that cop, and then they made that movie about me. Oh, wait, that's another lifetime.
You've just heard the first part of my conversation with Peter Yarrow. Peter was part of a very famous trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary, with his friends Paul Stookey and Mary Travers. And Paul Stookey is still making music, and Mary Travers has passed from this life. We honor Paul and Mary also for their beautiful music and the love they brought into this world. Now we're going to listen to a song. It's a Pete Seeger song that Peter has just recently reworked. He's made a video, which you can watch, and we're going to listen to the song now, and then we'll be back to talk more with Peter about this song and this issue and more. This is Peter Yarrow with Where Have All Our Children Gone? You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago.
Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn?
Where have the guns and rifles gone? Long time passing. Where have the guns and rifles gone? Long time ago. Where have the guns and rifles gone? They've killed our children, everyone. When will we ever learn? When will we ever learn? Why are all our children gone? Long time passing. Why are all our children gone? Long time ago. Why are all our children gone? Politicians, everyone. When will we ever learn? When will we ever learn? Where have all the politicians gone? Long time passing. Where have the politicians gone? Long time ago. Where have all the politicians gone? They're still in office, everyone. When will we ever learn? When will we ever learn? And when will all this killing end? Long time passing. When will all this killing end? A long time ago. When will all this killing end? When we don't vote for them again? When will we ever learn? When will we ever? Where have all our children gone? Long time passing. Where have all our children gone?
Where Have All Our Children Gone? Peter Yarrow. Now you may remember the original Where Have All the Flowers Gone by Pete Seeger. This is Peter's reinterpretation of this song for today. I don't know about you, but when I listen to that, it's pretty powerful. Let's get back now to my conversation with Peter Yarrow. We came together today to talk about what you've done recently, where you've taken a well-known, beautiful song that you sang with Paul and with Mary, and you've remade it in response to current events, especially this latest school shooting. And people, by the time they're hearing this part of the interview, they've heard the song. But tell me about, I mean, it's almost obvious, but I'll ask anyway, why do this and what happened for you in doing this? Speak to me of this.
Well, first of all, this is not at all the beginning of a chapter. This has been going on for a long, long time. And it's just that I found myself, the reason I did it, I found myself incapacitated unless I tried to do something. And indeed, I just got a note from somebody, and this is a little thing, but these are the things that concretize our ideas and say, if only this had happened, Dayenu, right? They took this song, and there was somebody from Connecticut who was involved in the Newtown Action Alliance, or one of the affiliated groups, that had a rally at which they showed this and played it, and she said, we cried together, etc. And I know the healing that comes about. Now, in Newtown, I have a long history, because when that happened, there was a singer there whose name may be familiar to you, because she's a great singer. And I'll send you a link to see what came out of this. She and other people, David and Francine Wheeler delivered the address for Barack Obama on his weekly show the week before the vote to change the gun laws that failed so horribly that in Colorado, within short order, 2 members of Congress were unseated. Her little son, she and David, 6 years old Ben, was killed beyond recognition by the shooter. And, you know, when you're invested with that kind of tikkun olam kind of thing, what they wanted was not another concert where people would come and sing and people would give money. They wanted a concert of healing. So I worked to put together, I brought my amazing daughter, who's an extraordinary singer, and not of the commercial variety in the sense that, her aims and her objectives have nothing to do with popularity and fame. But she is extraordinary, and she's a great organizer. And she and her then significant other cellist came, as well as the Flagpole Cafe, which was the group, a band that was how I met Francine Wheeler in the first place, and Dar Williams, who came. And Dar Williams happened to be one of her incredible devotees. Her meaning Francine Wheeler. And Dar had a song that they sang together, and at the last moment I said, this is going to be an iconic, important moment in this effort. And I got my friend, who's a filmmaker and teaches at NYU, teaches film, Jim Brown. And he told his class, and I had like about 11 people with cameras, uncoordinated, different, specs, and they shot it. Not shot it, they filmed it, and videotaped it. And the song, when I showed the videotape of just that song to Bill Moyers, it became a PBS show. When I showed it to him, he said, I have to interview Francine Wheeler and you right away. We did so. And it was one of those really important interviews. And I interspersed the interview with the music from that concert that started out with the recitation of the Sandy Hook Promise. We promise that we will be remembered not for the bloodshed and the killing, but as a place where the solution found its genesis, at least partially. The pain was so apparent, and the love was so apparent. And when they all sang together, you'll see it in the video, I'll send you the link. It was extraordinary. And that was really, after Allard Lowenstein was killed by a handgun, he was a member of Congress and perhaps the most incredible organizer historically in the peace movement. After he was killed by a handgun, in much the same way that John Lennon was, and he was my very close friend. That's when I got involved in getting rid of guns. But when it became the kids, I went into a whole other gear. When Parkland happened, I went down with 11 songwriters besides myself to somebody, some wonderful person suggested that they needed a song. Peter, we need you to write a song. I said, no, they need to write that song. And we mentored them, and they wrote, and I'll send you the songs, the album, the videos, the healing that took place. But I wrote a little blurb about it, and it was in its own way as powerful in its experience as singing at the March on Washington in '63. To be with those kids who had been next to their friends when they had been shot. They were writing suicide notes, and 3 of them took their own lives. Not just now, but 2 years after. And I'm still in touch with them. And the videos that we made together, then I took those videos and I showed them to a group of Pittsburgh students from Pittsburgh, some of who were affected by that mass murder there in the Tree of Life Synagogue. And they wrote a song called The Sin of Silence. So you're talking about a long path. So this didn't jolt me into first awareness. It simply was the last straw. Or what? But one of the last straws is happening every day, and that's when I wrote. Because I channeled Pete, and I took this song, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone." Pete was my role model. Pete was my be-all, end-all of everything, as he was for many folk singers. But for me, it was very special, and we worked together on many a project, whether it was a March on Washington to end the war in Vietnam, where I and Cora Weiss, it was all music, not all music, but 90% music. And people said, "Why are you doing music?" And because I think music, from my experience, can really affect people. And music, as we can incorporate it into this effort, will bind our hearts together.
I'm talking with Peter Yarrow, who you probably remember from the trio Peter, Paul, and Mary. We'll be back with more of this conversation, getting into a bit more of the philosophy of all of this. But first, let's hear some more music. Here's a song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. It's called Best of Friends.
Some things are different, some the same. Some turn over, some don't change. Time and music all forgive, and in the best of friends the spirit lives. Set in motion by the air, crossing oceans, making waves. 2 steps backward and 3 along. For the best of friends, one more song. The best of friends, the best of friends. For the best of friends, one more song. The best of friends, best of friends. For the best of friends, one more song. Loud and ringing, high and low. Join the singing, let it flow. Future from the past, be the best of friends to the last. The best of friends, the best of friends, be the best of friends to the last. The best of friends, the best of friends, be the best of friends to the last. The best of friends, the best of friends, be the best of friends to the last. The best of friends, the best of friends, be the best of friends. Come together for the young, for your daughters, for your sons. Raise your voices and lift your hands. Be the best of friends while you can. The best of friends, the best of friends, be the best of friends while you can. Come together for the young, for your daughters, for your sons. Raise your voices, lift your hands. Be the best of friends while you can. The best of friends, the best of friends. Be the best of friends while you can. The best of friends, the best of friends. Be the best of friends, the best of friends.
That's Peter, Paul, and Mary from their album Reunion with Best of Friends. Peter, Paul, and Mary not only created a sound, but the wholesomeness, the beautiful, loving intent, the message of their music is unmistakable and has been inspiring people around the world for decades, my whole life. Can you remember times hearing Peter, Paul, and Mary's music? If you'd like to share some memories or comments about this episode, please do. All right, here is the next part of my conversation with Peter Yarrow. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. Feeling the sadness is an essential part of the healing. We don't heal without letting it move through us. It has to move through us. And that's where the mind and the heart open, and we can actually have a different reality. And then we can bring that out into the world. It's something everyone can do. It's something I think most people don't know they can do.
The essence is you can't love without being vulnerable. And there's no doubt that when that ends for one reason or another, because there's a departure or a breakup, whatever, the pain is really deep. But you have to know that that's only a manifestation of your having lived deeply and loved deeply. So we are transformed by those things that come through us. When I was younger, I used to feel, I did a great show. Wow. I mean, can you believe it? And then I grew up, and I realized, and I mean this quite literally, that, this thing is something out there that's the accumulation of that whole train ride with Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger and everybody else, and it comes through me, and I don't belong to myself alone in those moments. I'm part of it. I'm a catalyst, but I'm telling you, I am more than I ever was or ever will be at those moments. Those are not I. Those are we.
The big we.
The big we.
Yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to talk with you is because you've spent your life being this person who does this. And part of the whole purpose for this radio show is so that the people who listen can realize that they are also that person, that they can also be that person. We can all be that person. We can all be Peter Yarrow, inspired, bringing, channeling, allowing. And in fact, that's what's going to fix it.
That's the only thing that will fix it. That's parallel to what I was saying before, my brother. This is exactly what I mean and what I feel. And one of the vehicles for letting us feel that vulnerability is the music, particularly when people sing together. And when I first experienced that, it was when I was a senior in Cornell, and I had an undergraduate instructorship in a course in folk music under the renowned professor Harold Thompson. And on Saturdays, instead of a class, there was just a sing-along. And remember, in 1959, when I was a senior, the culture of those schools, I mean, it was, in today's terms, abhorrent. And I had gone in New York City to the very famous FAME school, the High School of Music and Art, as an art student. Of course, everybody was into art and music. So when I hit Cornell and I saw the way that if you were black, and we had 30% of our student body at the time was black and brown. And we were in heaven there. Women were empowered as much as men, no doubt. And we were in love. And 2 periods a day, we created in school. We created whether music or art. And in the weekends, we were crazy to get back together. So we'd meet at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and go sketch, or, we'd go to a party, and in this room, they'd be playing string quartets. In this room, they'd be debating dialectical materialism. And in the third room, they'd be making out. because it was life and life only, but it was very innocent at the time, and very precious, and people were very vulnerable. Well, at Cornell, when I saw that, if you were a woman, there were 4 men to 1, and you were a commodity almost. If you went into the ivory room, you went to the Jewish side or the white side. The language is demonstrative. The fraternities ruled. I mean, the whole social structure. And into this class came these students who pretty much, kind of rejected everything that I cared about. And when they were singing, it was as if a miracle had happened. Out of their mouths came the most, and we were only doing folk music. There was no blowing in the wind at the time, And so it was singing Southern mountain ballads, murder ballads, but the fact that we were feeling that, and it penetrated their defenses. And I've seen them at reunions, and they said the most important human experience they had at Cornell in terms of their evolution as a person was being there and singing with others, and all of a sudden all that other stuff washed away, and that you are doing this to realize it's an example of the fact, yes, we all can do this. We all can do that. I speak of the great moments in my life, like the one where Peter, Paul, and Mary sang at the March on Washington, If I Had a Hammer and Blowing in the Wind, no doubt. But when I was in that room with 30-some kids who were writing songs and healing, and they were in such trauma that you could see you would be talking to them and then they would tune out. As resilient as young people are, it just destroyed them. And they had to rebuild their psyches. And that goes on every day. And we have over 300,000 kids who have been in schools where there has been a shooting, and the reverberations from that. What are we doing to our children? It's where they're living with the expectation that at some point this is going to happen.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Peter Yarrow. It was really lovely to talk with him, and he is a sweet, wise person. Here's a song by Dar Williams. Dar sang this at the concert in Newtown, Connecticut that Peter was talking about. It's called Family.
Can you fix this? It's a broken heart. It was fine, but it just fell apart. It was mine, but now I give it to you. 'Cause you can fix it, you know what to do. Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. We stood outside in the summer rain. Different people with a common pain. A simple box in that hard red clay is where we left him to always remain. Let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. child who played with the moon and stars, waves a snatch of hay in a common barn. In the lonely house of Adam's fall lies a child, it's just a child that's all crying, let your love cover me like a pair of angel wings. You are my family. You are my family. You are my family. You are my family.
Dar Williams, Family. And now here is the next part of my conversation with Peter Yarrow.
The only way for us to do this is what you're doing on your program, is for us to realize this little moment when I was at the hospice. I was on the board of the Connecticut Hospice for a long time. And I would sing to the patients. And one time there was a woman, and I'd sing to the group that could come, but then the individuals couldn't. One time there was a patient at the hospice who had just been admitted, and her daughter came over and said, well, we missed the sing, and my mother's in the other wing, can you come over? So I went over, and she wanted to hear Leaving on a Jet Plane. So I'll do a little bit of this, and I'll share with you what I experienced. It was an incredible moment. It goes, the Zoom phenomenon. When I got to this verse, I knelt down, I looked in her eyes. They were like a 17-year-old's, the clarity and here she was in a hospice. They were just beautiful. I was singing to her, and this song was transformed within me, and I knew that she heard it in these terms. Now the time has come to leave you one more time. Let me kiss you, close your eyes. I'll be on my way. And we'll dream about the days to come when I won't have to leave alone. About the times I won't have to say, kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. Hold me like you. Now the time has come to leave you. One more time, let me kiss you. Dream about the days to come. She was leaving. She was going away. And she looked at me, and when I finished, she said, that was beautiful. And then her eyes closed, and she went back into that semi-state that I had come to know very well when people are beginning to get ready to transition. And I look upon that, not so many albums sold, and not even the March on Russia, that as being an equally meaningful moment in my life from my current perspective, where one human being was touched in a way that you can never take away from her or me. And that's true of all of us with our kids all the time. And every moment matters. Every time we give them a hug, it really makes a difference. Every time we don't take the opportunity to shame them or reprimand them, but embrace them and love them and laugh at their youthfulness sometimes, the youthful folly, with joy because it's part of their growth. But it's there for all of us, whatever I've had. When you get right down to it, is completely available. And you know who knows this? The people, for instance, in Ethiopia, who are they're some of the poorest, some of the most devastated by, natural phenomena in the world. But they're judged to be the happiest. Why? Because it's about us. It's the we together. They have the answer. We have all but moved ourselves out of it in America, where we've gone down the path of, believing that money is really it, and it gives you happiness and a sense of well-being and respect, is about as stupid as believing that Trump won the election.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Peter Yarrow after we hear this song by Peter, Paul, and Mary from their live album. It's called Oh, Rock My Soul.
Everybody on this side to the right is in the in group. Everybody to the left, you're in the out group. The part that the in group sings is very simple. The reason for that is that the in group itself is very simple. I'll sing it once, then join him. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Oh, rock my soul. In group, sing it with me. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Oh, rock, sing it out now and rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock. That's enough. The out group always sings better than the in group. There's a very distinct. Out group. The out group. Here's your part. I'll sing it for you. So high, I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get round it. Oh, rock my soul. Sing it with me. So high, I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get round it. Oh, rock my soul. Now everybody sing rock my soul together very softly. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Oh, rock my soul. The other part just as softly. So high, I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get round it. Oh, rock my soul. A little louder now and rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Oh, rock full volume now and rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham. Oh, rock my soul. Now I noticed that the bleachers over here, I have a special part for them. But see what happens is they're gonna waft down here. What? It goes like this. This is your part. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. Waft. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. Rock my soul. Rock my with your part, out group with your part. Every time we sing it through once, you switch parts. Here we go. Rock my soul, and I can't get over it. Rock my soul, rock my soul. Individualists, join the walkers. Rock my soul.
That's Peter, Paul, and Mary from their live album with Oh Rock My Soul. You understand why so many people have listened to their music for so long and been fed by it. All right, here's the final part of my conversation with Peter Yarrow. The love of money, or the obsession with or fascination with the material world, it's out of balance. I mean, the material world is fascinating, but it's not the be-all, end-all. It's the thing we leave behind. It's the thing we outgrow.
Yeah, it's true in terms of wealth, but art persists. The history lesson of listening to these songs that I grew up on, you get to know your forebears, you get to know your ancestors and those of other cultures. And my daughter now has a big project. Oh, you should talk to her because she's really, really a good person to get a slant on. She's taken these Portuguese songs that are sacred songs, indigenous, and sings them in Portuguese and she has a friend in Brazil, and she's done almost 50 of them. They're just beautiful. We were at Standing Rock together. She's got teepee ceremonies and sweat lodges on her upstate in this very depressed area called Schoharie Valley. That was once the breadbasket in the Revolutionary War. So if there is one reason for us to get together, is to confirm between us on behalf of the people who we're trying to reach, that the best thing that we can do to right this horrible time is to love one another and to realize the gift of what that love means. And love is not a feeling alone. Love is a verb. My mother, who was an English speech and drama teacher, used to say, love is a verb. It's an active force within you that can become demonstrable. Just like when I take this guy over here and I
Peter, talking with you is something I will remember. And I hope we get to talk again, not on any of this, just as people. Yeah. You're a total mensch. You're like my Zeta. It's, yeah. It's just sweet to talk with you. You are.
Thank you.
And I know you've been struggling a little bit with your health, and it's been serious. Yeah. And I just wish you the best.
But that's in the past. I'm telling you, the great thing is I have this syndrome when you've been through this fight against cancer. It's not gone, and it most probably will come come again sometime, but so will everything else. Whatever gratitude you felt about life becomes amplified by having gone through that experience. It's also a good way to lose weight.
Peter Yarrow, thank you for talking with me. It was a pure pleasure and an honor to speak with you. What a really wonderful person. Thank you so much for having spent your entire life in service, offering us music and inspiration for healing and peace. Peter Yarrow's the guy who wrote Puff the Magic Dragon. Everyone knows that song. How many songs that Peter has written, that Peter, Paul, and Mary have sung, are in the back of all of our minds, are part of each of us. Peter has a website. It's peteryarrow.net. There's some really cool stuff there, really worth checking out. Also, the Bill Moyer program with Francine Wheeler and Peter Yarrow is available online at billmoyers.com. And you can watch the video Peter has made, Where Have All Our Children Gone, on vimeo.com. I hope you'll check all these things out. Thank you, Peter. If you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll check out our archive at the Paradigms website, paradigms.life, where there are also links to the Bill Moyers program and the Where Have All Our Children Gone video, and in iTunes and wherever else you find your podcasts. Paradigms is there. Paradigms has a Patreon campaign going to help pay the bills, patreon.com/paradigms. I hope you'll check it out. Many thanks to our Patreon supporters. Paradigms has launched a YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Paradigms Podcast. My friend Leah Zylona has been making these wonderful videos of our episodes. The issue of violence in our society, especially here in the United States, there's more gun violence literally every day. And now the makers of the AR-15 have come out with a new compact rapid-fire gun that you can fit in a briefcase. Money over life, profit over life, violence being exalted. When will we ever learn? As we head out of this episode, we're going to listen to one more song. And this is Pete Seeger singing Where Have All the Flowers Gone, with probably thousands of people singing along. I invite you to sing along. It's a powerful song. And let the word for the week be love. Love is the healing. All right. Many thanks to everyone for listening to this episode. Please share it. Let's keep Peter Yarrow's message going around the world. Okay, we'll be back next time with more inspiring people on Paradigms. Until then, Baruch signing off with love. Be well.
Where have all the flowers gone?
Long time passed.
Sing it.
Where have all the flowers gone?
Long time.
Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone?
Girls have picked them.
Girls have picked them everywhere.
When the young girls gone?
Where have all
The young girls gone.
long time passed? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone?
Taken husbands.
Taken husbands, everyone.
When will they ever learn? When will they ever? Where have all the young men gone? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. gone for soldiers. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards. Where have all the graveyards gone? Get some harmony now. Covered with flowers. When will we?
You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.